The wheel on the light pole was still. No wind was blowing. It wasn't needed. It was a mild day. He hurriedly walked through the door and down the stairs to the basement. He was late. Quickly sitting in the first available chair, looking up at the picture on the wall entitled Introduction, it appeared he'd made it in time for the start of the briefing. The presenter stood alongside the picture, commanding the attention of the room. He spoke in a short military clip. "Gentlemen, I'm glad you could join me for this meeting today." He eyed the latecomer when he said this. He allowed the time to linger, achieving his goal of making the latecomer uncomfortable under his stare. A few minutes later, he turned his attention to the presentation. "Gentlemen, we are here to discuss our next assignment. Pay close attention to the clip. There will be a quiz at the end." The clip played. It began with a young mother holding one child in her arm, holding the hand of another with her free arm, and walking down the street. The young mother bought diapers, returned home where she cooked lunch for the young child, and put the baby to bed. Afterward, she sat at the table with a cup of coffee and read scriptures. The clip ended. The presenter returned to the front of the room and addressed the audience. "Gentlemen, what have we just seen?" The room was silent. He goaded them on. "Surely, gentlemen, someone has thoughts on what we have just seen." Arrogance spoke up. "I think we haven't seen a thing. Another young mother has children. Whoop-de-doo." A wave of chuckling washed over the room. "Does everyone feel the same way?" the presenter asked. Heads nodded around the room. The presenter polled the 8-man room. "Mr. Arrogance has said we saw nothing impressive. Do you feel the same way, Mr. Deception?" "Yes." "Mr. Lust?" "Yes." "Mr. Envy?" "Yes." "Mr. Discord?" "Yes." "Mr. Worry?" "Yes." "Mr. Hatred?" "Yes." "Mr. Murder?" "Yes." "Fools!" he exploded, suddenly changing the atmosphere. It was stern and uncomfortable. His eyes reflected his internal fury. His voice rumbled in his mouth and escaped his lips as a roar across the room. "It baffles me that our master does not throw all of you into the abyss with the other waiting beasts." His stern rebuke continued to berate the group. "You blind buffoons have missed the same principle over and over again. Even the flesh creature monkeys can learn. Must I constantly remind you of your failures? Eve, you attacked her instead of her husband. Moses, you thought he wasn't a threat in the wilderness. Samson, you pierced his eyes instead of his heart. Mary, had you corrupted her, you would not have had to worry about her seed. Incompetence." The presenter finished his rant and paused to allow his composure to return. Arrogance spoke up. "Destroyer, why is this mother different than the others?" Destroyer breathed an audible sigh before answering. "Have I not made my point clear, Mr. Arrogance? This group underestimates the humble. You want big prey to brag about at our meetings, and you miss huge conquest before you because they are dressed differently. This not impressive mother, as you describe her, has set a faithful example of loving her Lord in front of her children, her family, her community, and her workplace. She has exhibited a standard for the men watching her. She has a reputation for honesty in her local marketplace. Think of the great fall she represents, as well as the loss of faith for those connected to her. You constantly miss the spiderweb of success with your cases, your victims. You forget about the stolen future and the protected innocence of her children and their friends. You imbeciles seek glory instead of success." The room was quiet once more. Destroyer broke the silence. "Now that I have your proper attention, we will establish our business plan to tear her down. Before we begin, I want to remind you of how to cook a frog. If you place him in boiling water, he will jump out. If you place him in comfortable water and change his environment 1 degree at a time, he will let you boil him alive. Now, gentlemen, let us get to work on how to boil this Christian alive." The room roared with hails to their king. Arrogance looked at the wall again to examine the young mother. His perspective changed, and he began to relish his upcoming assignment.